jumps to mind right now is be the change you want to see in the world. And I forget who said that, maybe Gandhi or Mother Teresa.
This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today, to start turning your dreams into a reality. Let's just face it, you can be listening to so many other things, but you chose this, and I really do appreciate you immensely. And for that, I really want to give you something. I really want you to reach out to me on LinkedIn, because that's where I'm mainly at. And I want you to just ask me a few questions about how to get your business started, scratch your own itch. And I would love to brainstorm with you how you can make that actually happen. Because I know for a fact that until we have some sort of accountability, and this is not that type of accountability where I'm going to charge you an arm and leg to do. It's a type of accountability where I just want to help you. I want to be the best part of your day. That's my mission. So, that's what I want to give out to you. Just give me a call. I'll post my links, my LinkedIn links, to make it super easy, and we'll talk. So, anyways, this interview is Laura Peterson. Oh, she's an expert in so many things. It's hard to even peg her just for one thing. She's got a beautiful personality. I cannot wait until you listen to this interview. She gives so many gems. If you're someone who's looking to publish a book, she is the queen when it comes to that. But enjoy. You don't have to put on your seatbelts unless you're wearing your seatbelt. You don't have to do anything else except listen closely. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview with the one and only Laura Peterson. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it, because I know you can be listening to almost any other podcast, but instead you decide to listen to this one, and it means the world to me. And to be totally honest with you, I know the audio is not going to be as great as usual with my other mic being in the shop, but guess what? I have an amazing guest to make up for it. And I also want to go and show you how easy it is to just grab a mic from your iPhone, grab a mic from your Bluetooth headset, and start recording today. Don't stop. Just publish your darn thing. Don't wait until it's perfect. And, well, you're probably wondering anyways who this awesome guest is to make up for the mic quality sound. Her name is Laura Peterson, and she is a tall, but she's an awesome math and psychology teacher, and she turned her international best-selling author book into also a great podcast and persuasive writing. And she's here to talk to me about all that stuff. And she loves to help people to actually make money with their books, build their authority, and grow their business. So, without further ado, give a huge warm welcome to the one and only Laura Peterson.
Hi there, Logan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for connecting.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to ask is what's the best story from your life that has an underlying message?
Oh my goodness, there's so many, but the thing that comes to mind most recently and like kind of most viscerally, emotionally is really just this year in 2018, I decided to change the story in my own head around I'm afraid of public speaking to I love public speaking.
That's incredible. Like, it's just the small perspective shift change. I want to hear more and deep into like, because I know that you're a copywriter, and so many people are like, oh, I love to be a copywriter too because I can make money from wherever I live. I want to go into a little bit of the transparency and the truth of that, and what work it actually takes to go into that.
Yeah, sure. So I definitely, my background is being a really big nerd in school. So I got all the good grades and went to the best college that I could and graduated with honors. And when I came out of UCLA is where I went, I was like, where's my really high paying job? And there was none to be found. And it was kind of like, wait, what the heck? I've been kind of told this thing for a long, long time, but the world isn't exactly as promised. And I tried to start businesses when I was in my 20s. So I graduated college in 2003. So like I tried to start businesses during the 2000s and just couldn't quite figure it out. The internet wasn't like it is now. So I went back to what I knew, which was education. I did a master's in secondary ed and I taught high school math and psychology. I was going to teach English because I totally could have, and I'm a nerd for writing, but I figured it'd be easier to do math grading rather than English paper grading. And I did that for about 5 years. I loved it. I traveled the world. And after about 5 years, I was turning 30 and I just thought, you know what? This business thing is just calling me. I really want to be an entrepreneur. So I decided to quit my full-time teaching and start a company. My first company that I started that actually worked was a tutoring and test prep company. So that can be a lesson for people who are listening is if maybe you're going to work on your first business, don't necessarily just chase what's hot. Find something that matches your skill set and your experience that, of course, is in demand and go from there. So I started with a tutoring and test prep company because that's what I knew, education. And then after a couple of years, I started getting really a lot better at like blog writing and optimizing it for SEO. And actually, our blog for this tutoring company was basically our number one funnel for clients. Other than networking and being active in the community, we were found really high on local search because we had done such a great job with our blogs and our website content and making sure that it was really optimized for search engines. And I learned so much about writing for business that after a couple years, my heart kind of fell out of the college space because I just don't really believe in that track as being right for everyone anymore. And I got more and more into digital marketing. So I started taking on clients for copywriting. So I did ghost written blog articles. So I would write it, but we would still publish it as the person's name who paid me to do it. They like commissioned me to write it. And I started doing content marketing stuff for different companies for social media and podcasts. I would repurpose podcasts into a blog and tweets and different social shares. So I ended up sort of organically finding that people were willing to pay for my skills of writing in a persuasive way and repurposing content that they had created into multiple forms. So I did that for a little while and then really working primarily on podcasts and like the back end of podcast shows. Started my own show in 2016, which is called Copy That Pops. So it's all about writing and improving your writing by applying psychology for business. And then at the end of 2016, I didn't even think about it, but I had 3 people tell me you should write a book to really stand out from the crowd, get more clients and raise your prices and get more podcast bookings and start speaking on stage and everything. They're like, you really should start with a book to position yourself as an expert. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. So I figured out how to self-publish and hit bestseller in a relevant category with my first book at the end of 2016, all within 30 days. So I just went crazy and just went for this goal. And the book is like 350 pages, by the way, so it's not like it's a really teeny tiny thing. And after I did that, I had so many people reach out to me asking me for help around books that's what I now specialize in. So I don't take on private copywriting clients anymore. It's just all around books, which is kind of like a long form version of copy, but using books to get clarity, increase your own confidence, and put something out there to position yourself as an authority, as an expert, and use it as a really great marketing tool to grow everything around your brand and business. So that's kind of like an overview of my progression. Definitely let me know what follow-up questions you have from that.
Yeah. Oh my God. First of all, I think it's just a cool thing to acknowledge the fact that you just looked at it and you go, I'm going to do even though you look at it as a marathon, like you just did a 30-day sprint of a marathon, but just going for it. And I know for a fact that so many people want to really be writers and they go, I don't know, I'm just not ready for it. And there's actually this quote on my phone that says, most writers are afraid that it's all been said before. And so I want to ask you is like, let's go into psychology tactics, just like maybe a few tips that you give maybe a couple of your clients that when they're hitting that wall and they continue to try to keep making a book actually happen, but they all of a sudden go, I keep hitting this wall and I don't know where to go. And like, what's just a couple of tactics that you like to use on that?
Yeah, well, I love what you said about the idea of everything has been said before, and it actually is true. So I would say everything has been said before. There are no real unique ideas. However, there's no one else in the world just like you who has had experiences, learned lessons in a certain way, and can communicate the message in a particular way. So I think that means that there is space for all of us to be authors, to share our stories, to share our lessons learned. And I would argue that there are a lot of people who are searching right now for the book that only you could write, for the stories that only you could tell, and for the lessons that only you can communicate in your unique way, just for them to particularly be able to connect with. So I think that's kind of the first thing around psychology in what I do in working with clients is let's get over that imposter syndrome ASAP and just push that to the side. You know, in the past, writing a book used to be something that only the super lucky, the elite, the well-connected, the mega rich were able to do. Or, you know, you'd have to submit like 100 different book proposals to publishers all over the country and just cross your fingers and wait years and years and years to hear back, if at all. But these days with self-publishing, we all can decide that we're ready to be an author. And there's this magic around books because it used to be so difficult. So something like a blog was pretty much always open for anyone to enter into. So I think that we don't look at a blog with the same kind of wonder and appreciation and like respect and everything. But with books, for most of the past, it used to be something that was very well guarded by gatekeepers. Now that those gatekeepers are gone and fading away, anyone can jump in and write a book, but there's still that magic fairy dust around it. So I think that it's a great thing that we entrepreneurs who want to really position ourselves as an authority and use a book for a great marketing tool that it is, we can really leverage that magic. We just can't let it psychologically slow us down and make us feel not worthy of taking action on it. So that's kind of the first thing around psychology is let's really just eliminate that imposter syndrome. The other thing I would say that jumps to my mind around busting a myth is even around bestseller. So hitting bestseller on New York Times, Wall Street Journal, things like those, it's absolutely doable. You just have to spend a lot of money. So if you spend a lot of money and you know the right bookstores to buy a bunch of copies from, you too can be a New York Times bestseller. So it's kind of like the closer to the sun you get, the more you like see behind the scenes. You're like, oh, wait a second, maybe it's not as hard as I thought. But for most of us who don't have like 50 G's of marketing budget, it's very, very attainable to hit bestseller in a relevant category on Amazon. And that's what I work with all my clients to do. I have a 100% success rate. And even if you don't hit bestseller, let's say, even though it's a lot easier once you know the right path, and I teach this thing called the TRACK method, TRACK, for exactly how to hit bestseller. But even if you don't hit bestseller, you're still a published author. And even if you make 0 sales, your book is still online. You still are a published author. So you can order copies of that book, hand them out as gifts, send them to event organizers to try to get a speaking gig. You can use the book as a free plus shipping offer, as a free giveaway lead magnet on your website. You can use it for so many things, and people still really respect you for being a published author, even though you might not even have very many sales, which they don't really know or care anyway. So I think just psychologically recognizing there are so many benefits, it really can help you bust through some of those slowing down periods when you start questioning it.
And I want to comment on just, first of all, that was amazing, but just when you have a book out there, you have something that lasts so much longer than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I've lost a mom at 11 years old, and I just wish almost every single day that someone can still have a relationship with one person that they love the most, that they miss. And when you put out a book out there, to be able to read the memories of, you know, your maybe it's your grandfather, your grandmother, or your mom, or your dad. A book is just so important because it's always going to be there. Now it's concrete, and even if it's about a subject that doesn't really deal totally with their life, it's still, you're reading something that they cared about and they're passionate about. So I really love that you do that and you make it possible, Laura. It's so cool. So I want to just go into like a few more questions. They're more like 30 seconds or less type answers, not too deep. And then we'll round it out strong because you've just been given killer value already. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think is your best overall business advice?
I have 2 things, and I can say them fast. So one is you really are the average of those you circle yourself with, that you spend your time with. So whether that's family, friends, or business associates, you really need to surround yourself with people who are trying to accomplish the same things or even a couple steps ahead of you. It really will rub off. Positive thinkers. And then the other thing is there are a lot of paths to reach your goals and reach success. There's no one right way. So I would encourage you to stop looking for that magic pill. It's all about just taking action and not quitting. That's really the only recipe for success. There's a million ways to get there. You just have to keep going, take action, and never quit. And you will achieve what you're after.
I really love that. Oh, God. I could go on for hours about that. It's amazing. But I want to ask you the next question, which is, this might be a hard one for you.
Okay.
What's your favorite quote and why? Oh, sorry. What's your favorite quote and why?
Oh, yeah. Geez. That's a tough one. It's funny. I don't really spend a lot of time looking at quotes and remembering quotes. But something that jumps to mind right now is be the change you want to see in the world. And I forget who said that, maybe Gandhi or Mother Teresa or something. But for me, around speaking, like I mentioned earlier in this show, I really felt passionate about there needs to be more women up on stage. There need to be more women taking leadership roles. And I realized I need to stop just saying that there should be and maybe complaining that there aren't when I go to an event, and raise my hand and actively reach out to event organizers and say, I want to speak, I'm ready, I want to share my stories and be up on the stage and represent women. So to me, I realized I needed to be a part of the change that I wanted to see in that regard.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I really love it. Yeah, I just posted a thing on LinkedIn about that, So it's right on the money. I don't want to go into it. People, check me out on LinkedIn. You'll find it there. Anyways, the next question I would really like to ask is, what's your favorite book?
Oh, that's a tough one. If we're talking about business, I would have to say The 4-Hour Work Week. I've always called it my Bible. I definitely am nowhere close to 4 hours of work a week. I'm not that systematized, but I love to just keep coming back to it and rereading it. Actually, I like to listen to it on audio. So if I take a long road trip, I love to listen to it. And that's by Tim Ferriss, if you haven't heard of it. But it really is great principles around eliminating what's not necessary, delegating what you don't have to do that maybe is administrative tasks that someone else could do 80% as well as you, and automating what you can too. So letting kind of like computers and systems take over some of the busy, repetitive work so that you can be more efficient and maximize your time and your effort. So I love to kind of keep coming back to those principles and then look at my business and see where can I improve on those.
I love it. Yeah, 4-Hour Work Week. I don't know. See, people get mad about the name, and I go, you gotta read the darn thing.
It's a catchy title.
It is. Dude. That's Tim Ferriss. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Just two more questions is, where's the one place to send people? Because they probably listen to this interview, and they're probably thinking like I am. I want to get to know Laura a little bit more. I want to know what she's about. Like, where can they find you?
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm going to cheat and give you two places. So one is my website. It's the hub of everything, and that's copythatpops.com. So copy is like writing, and then pops means it has a psychology applied to it. It's compelling. So copythatpops.com is kind of the hub for everything. And then the second thing is if you put a /Facebook, that will redirect you over to a free Facebook community that I run and I'm very active in. And that's for people who are interested in writing, self-publishing, launching and leveraging a best-selling book. And I would love if someone is really interested in books to come and jump in and be a participant in that community.
That is awesome. Oh, that is so cool. Yeah, I'm going to throw in a link where people can just like straight up click that link and get it right away. They'll be headed out to all your socials or anything else that you want to share on there. So that's the beauty of technology, right?
Yeah, I love it.
And the last question I have for you, Laura, is I think answers are so important, but I think questions really are where it's at. Like, questions are usually the quality of the life that you're living usually comes down to the questions that you're asking of it. So what's a question that you would love for our audience that's listening right now to answer for themselves right now? What's a question?
What would you do if you didn't care about what other people thought?
That's how I took a moment, because that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's really huge. Yeah.
Because I realized too, for me with speaking, that part of the reason I wasn't raising my hand was because I was afraid that everyone else, like all the other speakers, all the other quote unquote experts out there would say, she's a fraud. She shouldn't be up there. She's not good enough to speak, or the audience would laugh or whatever. I was so worried about what other people would think that I just ran away from it for over 6 years as an entrepreneur. I just completely avoided it at all costs. And ultimately it came down to I was just afraid what other people would say. So if we can just eliminate that and recognize that in 20 years and 30 years and 50 years when we look back, we're not going to remember what anyone said. We're just going to be remembering all the amazing action we took and the people that we impacted as a result of our actions.
Exactly. Oh, well said. Gosh, thank you, Laura, so much for coming on and joining me today. And also thank you so much for anyone who's listening. Please hit that subscribe and don't miss another episode. But most importantly, Laura said it, like, start scratching your own itch. If it keeps continuing to haunt you about something that you know you should need to do, and it's probably because of fear. because of someone saying, something nasty about you, or that can't be done. Let that rebel tendency, just live inside of you and go, no, they're wrong. I can do this. I can. And it's not to show or prove anyone just based off of that, but it's really to just listen to your own heart and go for it. So thanks, Laura. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to stay connected, and we'll be in conversation, and I'll let you know when this is all available.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, 100%.
There'll be girls across the nation that'll eat this up. Babe, I know that it's just over, could you bottle it up? Get down to the heart of it, no, it's my heart. Your shit out of your love, don't make me tell you again. Woo! Love, love, love. Hey. Love, 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 love.
Oh, wow. You made it to the very end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch with your host, Logan Tyler Nelson. To make it to the end, gosh, that doesn't happen very much nowadays. I mean, especially with the constant distraction. So, I appreciate all of the efforts that you just took out of your day to make it to the end. And if you hit that subscribe button and leave a review, you would have no idea what that would mean to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to hit that subscribe button. And if you leave a review, check it out. Just screenshot it, send it to me, and I'd love to host your review out on the show. But don't ever forget, like I say, you matter and you're enough.
Love is the main reason for how all this happened. Love for all my fans, love for all the shows. Got love for all my memories, no matter where I go. Even if I'm out to nothing, I know there's always something. It's not a fitness test, but it'll always